on the News Channel 5 network. This is Score on Business.
Hey, welcome to Score on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks, your host for today. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, Score really wants to see you succeed, so make sure to check out scorenashville.org for classes and for several things. Our first guest, Angela Ellis, is founder of Enhanced Business Solutions, a corporate training and career coaching company focused on enabling professionals to perform their very best. Yes. Thanks for being here,
Thanks
Angela.
so much, Pete, for having me.
Yeah, so
appreciate it.
Tell us about a client that you've worked with, the challenges they were facing, and what you were able to help them with.
Well, Pete, as you can probably imagine, most of the time when I'm brought into an organization, it is reactive. It's because of something that's going on that they'd like to see change, something that needs to get better or different. And there's one particular instance when I was working with a team, and the team was highly dysfunctioning, we'll say. So much so that it was starting to impact their service to the customer and their productivity. They just were not getting along, very much at odds with each other. I went into the organization and met with each member of that team individually and came to find out that they really didn't have a great understanding for what the other team members were doing. Therefore, they didn't have a great appreciation for it either. So everyone's thinking that everyone else is slacking off, right? Not really pulling their weight.
Yeah.
So we had to develop some new communication practices so they would be more aware of each other's contributions. We also did some cross-training, so each individual could really see that others really were doing a lot of very important work. And because they were so at odds, we also developed what we called a covenant, which was just a code of conduct that covered how they would make decisions, how they would communicate with each other, how they would handle meetings, hold each other accountability. So they had some good plans in place for how to deal with each other more effectively. Of course, we did some internal evaluations afterwards. The members of that team reported higher levels of job satisfaction, employee engagement. We surveyed their customers. The customers had a higher return rate and a better level of satisfaction as well. All of that happened at just about a year ago, and of course I keep in touch with that group of clients, and they're still highly functioning and doing well together and having much more synergy and collaboration than they once did.
You know, sometimes it just takes someone coming in, because it sounds like nobody knew what the other was doing, therefore they had no idea. You know, when they weren't getting what they needed when they needed it, they were like, they're goofing off over there, but they didn't realize what,
Well, part of the problem was they actually had brought in a psychologist at one point. And that's really not what they needed. They needed someone to listen and empathize and give them some different tools to help them, you know, kind of do some things differently. So I'm glad they finally got, got what they needed.
Awesome. Awesome. So why should people invest in themselves? Isn't that their employer's responsibility?
You know, people often ask me, what do I need to do to be successful? And I first tell them, define what success is for yourself, because other people can't do that for you. But what I usually say is invest in yourself and invest in planning and preparation to set you up for success. I think it's just unrealistic to think that your employer or your boss is going to be more interested or more committed in your future, your growth, your success than you are. I think it's important for people to realize that they don't have to give up the ownership of their career and their advancement to someone else. I often tell clients you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family and others who are counting on you to take those matters into your own hands. Even if it just means reading a book a couple of hours a day or even a week, taking an online course, going to a seminar. There's so many different ways that you can invest in yourself. I was working with one client who asked her boss to pay for a 9-week leadership course. And he just didn't have it in his budget. And I asked her why it was important to her, what she hoped to get out of it, and she told me, and I said, well, isn't it worth it to you to make that investment in yourself. If you felt like you needed a new couch or a new refrigerator or a new set of tires, you would invest in those things, right? So why not invest in you? Don't wait for someone else to tell you it's time or it's okay. And she did. She completed the 9-week course and literally described it as life-changing for her. It gave her the communication skills she needed. She's better at diplomacy and professionalism in the workplace, and it's really making a difference for her.
You know, I just couldn't agree more. A person who is an employee for companies, and that's how they earn a living, their product is themselves. And if they want their product to be at the best, they have to take ownership for that. And I'm a big fan of getting a coach. I've had several coaches through the years. I've paid for a lot of I'm an entrepreneur, so I have to pay for all of it. But it's money well spent. And I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, I am a coach, and I have a coach because I believe that I can't always see the forest for the trees.
Oh, that's exactly
sometimes
the way
I just need a different perspective, someone to kind of point things out to me and help me through that process.
It's easier to, So you were talking about planning and preparation. Can you go a little more into that?
Absolutely. You know, I think anything that a person wants to accomplish, almost anything at least, needs to start with planning and preparation. It's how we set ourselves up for success. So if someone wants to get an advanced degree, they have to start researching a school and figuring out what they're going to major in. They need to determine how they're going to finance it. All of that is planning and preparation. If someone wants a promotion, they have to figure out what credentials and criteria it's going to take to get that promotion and start taking those steps. If someone wants to start a business, they've got to do all of that planning and preparation, find out how they'll form the business, what goods and services they're going to offer, you know, all of those kinds of things. So everything worth having really starts with planning and preparation. And one of my mantras, sort of, to my clients is strategy times execution equals results. And then I add to that an excellent strategy times execution equals outstanding results. So it's worth it to invest in it on the front end.
And even taking it to a lower level, taking some time to plan the following week. I remember reading about a study that found that CEOs that planned time and to do things and follow that plan were way more successful. It sounds like you've seen the same.
There's several studies around that. I think I was reading an article recently that said that the most successful entrepreneurs and business owners, you know, all the way from Warren Buffett to the guy that owns the dry cleaners that you go to, right? They all spend several hours a week in planning and preparation, planning for the day, planning for the week. I was telling someone recently that I keep a couple of different things by my bedside. One of them is a book, because I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm always reading. And the other is a journal, so that I can write down my ideas, what I want to do for the week, what I want to accomplish, who I need to follow up with, and phone calls I need to make. I can just jot those things down as I think about them. And that's all a part of planning and preparation.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a quick break. And ladies and gents, we'll be right back.